Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna, and if you are new here, welcome. And if you are returning, welcome back. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel, as I do upload videos several times every week, as well as hitting that notification bell, so every time I do load a video, you get notified. So let's just jump right in. If you haven't seen this already, and I'll actually get this out of the way, this is the DIY Hapa budget planner that I created, and I'll link that video below. And basically what I did was, this is a file folder. I did actually switch out the rings from that original video, as well as add some stickers just to make it a little bit more interesting. I did also, on all of the tabbed pages, add the month in from just the dates and holidays sticker pack that I have from Create 365, the Happy Planner sticker books. And then I also, I believe this is from the Memory Keeper sticker book, put a just pretty quote or picture on every single tab. So we are still in February, and this here was a hanging wall calendar that I just added on to my planner. I don't do a lot in the monthly overview in regards to budgeting. I know for a lot of budget videos, a lot of people plan what bills get paid on what days, but the way that I do it is, when I get paid on the 5th, I pay all of my credit cards and my student loan payment, and then when I get paid on the 20th, I pay my housing and my iTunes. So I don't need to track dates. For the credit card dates, they are either due on the 5th or throughout the month, so paying on the 5th, I'm fine. And it is money that is direct deposited, so I don't even have to worry that it's not going to be in my bank account. So those are how I do my bills for the month, and that'll be ongoing every single month. What we'll be working on is, I'll go over, first of all, my cash envelopes, which are really dividers. We'll do that first, and then I'll go over this, because I was working on this and I realized where some of my problems are, and going forward I'll deal with that. And then we'll also look at my credit card debt, which is the page right behind. So for the week of the 20th, coming in after I paid all of my bills, I had $671. Now that's actually quite high for me. Typically it's around $450, $460, but I did have a tax refund that I used, and I still had a little bit of that left, and then I'll show you where that money went. So when I took out money from the bank when I went this week, I actually had $13 remaining, so we'll take that out. And so when I divide this up, and the math won't come out, and I'll tell you why, is for eating out for work. So this basically means I'm budgeting, and I know exactly how much it normally costs me. So once per week, I am budgeting for me to eat, pick up lunch from the cafeteria. It's a little bit less than $10. It's usually around $8 plus tip, but that I have stretched over 2 meals, so I think it's worth it. I like the food and it's super convenient. So we're gonna put $10 for the eating out at work, and I don't do an envelope for my cash envelopes just because I put this in my wallet and it just seems a little strange to put in an envelope. This just seems to work better for me, sort of, and if I remember, I'll talk about that as well. So $10 there. In personal, I had $1 left, and I should have added 20, which I did, but I had to pick up a prescription, so that's where that $20 went. So for personal, I have $1, so that'll be interesting. For eating out, personal, I had $2. I'm adding an additional 40. and that will give me $42 for the week. And this is just for the upcoming week from the 25th through the 2nd, I think. I'd have to look at a calendar. So if I do need to pick up some items, it might have to come out from here. So this is my eating out budget. And then for my office budget, I did have 10, and I'm adding 10, so that gives me 20. Oh yeah, that's this line right here. So I had 10, I'm adding 10, and that gives me 20. And so this is one of the areas that I noticed, okay, I actually have to keep this separate. So when I'm writing in my expenses, I can just put the overall, how much I'm putting from that paycheck to cash envelopes, but the actual breaking out of it, I should keep separate, just because that way I don't have to keep count of what I had and what I end up with, because it looks messy. And if I'm looking, or if I'm thinking about how some other budgeters do, they just line item the total, but they don't actually break it out in that section. They do it separate. Now I was able to do sinking funds, and that's mostly because I did get a refund. So I have this little sheet right here. So I had a total refund of $533, and I had been having in my account $175 that I was going to utilize towards debt payoff. So I did pick up dinner for the family, as well as some gifts for the office for Valentine's, so that came out to $115. I did put $200 towards sinking funds. I did actually pay off some credit cards, and they were small, so it was easy enough to do, of $272.19, and that leaves me $120.81, and that actually is factored in to that $671.91. So up here, the $200 that came from my taxes, I put into sinking funds, and then from my paycheck on the 20th, I added another $81. So in my sinking funds right now is $281, and the categories that I'm doing as of right now is beauty and toiletries, because I do pick up a foundation from Macy's pretty much every 3 months. I'm starting to save for Christmas. I'm putting monies away for giveaways. I believe I have enough in my stash to do giveaways through June, but I enjoy doing giveaways, so I just want to bump up that. For the shipping of giveaways, I actually have that come out of my business account, and that's mostly funded through my Etsy sales. They're not very consistent, but there's enough money in there that I don't have to factor in additional shipping costs when I am doing giveaways. Medical, I am putting money in that because I do have a prescription that I have to fill every 3 months, and this year I got really hit with co-pays, so I'm hoping the rest of the year that won't be such a thing. I am putting money in a planner stuff fund, and then just unbudgeted and miscellaneous. Now I actually opened up a new account. I did already have a Discover savings account, but I also just opened a Discover debit account, but I haven't gotten that card yet. So even though this money is in there, I actually don't have access to it, which is fine. That's why the $20 for my prescription had to come out of my personal versus here, just because I can't get to it yet. I mean, I could just transfer it back to my checking account, but it wasn't that big of a deal. So when I add in all of my items here, that comes out to $671, and just for my own ease, I'm just going to negate change. It's just going to sit in the account, and I'm not going to worry about it. And then for savings, for my Discover account, that's the one that I have direct deposited $25 every paycheck. That is $25. So right now there's $175.30. Now there will be no more direct deposits in there, but at the end of the month, interest will accrue and be added. And so that's what I'll add in this box here. And then on the first, I'll total what that is. For my $5 challenge, starting I had $85. That includes January's $5 challenge. Up and through the 20th, I had 40 additional dollars, so there should be $125. And I think I actually added another $5, and we'll count that as well. And then in savings, I had $80, and that is from a previous month. And then I did add $70. That is listed right there from that pool of money right there. Because again, all of this here adds up to what I had in my account. So for savings, I have $150. And all of this is savings. It's just in different buckets. So that is the money that I will have for this upcoming week. But I also did take out money already for the first 3 weeks in March. So the way that I pay bills, and I may need to look at this, is the majority of my debt comes out on the first paycheck, which is on the 5th. And afterwards, I'm usually left with like $20. The majority of the money that I have to spend actually comes from the second paycheck, where I have about $400 and something. So for the first 3 weeks of March, I am also budgeting $80, which is what that came out to. And so I took out $240. Now what I did was, instead of carrying it with me, because that will make me want to spend it, or it'll make me think I have it to spend, I actually created this little system here. Now this is an old cover that I had that I used, but this only fits the mini rings. So for the mini that I carry around with me, it wasn't big enough, but for this purpose, it was perfect. Now these are just old covers that I had, old rings that I had. I didn't have quite enough for either color, but I think that looks cute. And then I made these little laminated envelopes. And so what I've made is every week I have $80 here. And so for the week of, I think it's the 3rd, actually the 4th. So the week of the 4th, I have, and hopefully you can see, so I already have the $80. For the week of the 11th, I already have the $80. For the week of the 18th, I already have the $80. Now, I want to say it might be Cassandra. It might be Budgeting with a V, and I'll link all their channels below, where they give a little Post-it note to their teller. I didn't think that far ahead. So when I was in the teller, I knew I needed $10 or $10 bills, but I couldn't quite figure out how many. So I just gave her a figure just so it added up to what I was withdrawing. So that's why this week I only have 10s, just because I overestimated. And I won't add any 5s, because then that will go into my $5 challenge. And then again, I wasn't thinking about this in the long run. I don't know, because I get paid on the 20th, and that's where I'll have more monies. But there's that week 4, which starts the 25th, that I don't actually have any funding for as of right now. And that could come from the 20th, which is fine, but I think I might be okay, because during that week, I'm actually only in the office on the 25th. In Hawaii, the 26th is Prince Kuhio Day, so we do have that off, at least state workers do. I'm taking a vacation day on the 27th, and then the 28th and the 29th, I will be out of the office at a conference that's near my home, that as far as I know, they don't have any place where you can spend money, and breakfast and lunch is provided. So I should be fine for this month if I just use whatever I have left over from these weeks right here. And then for my $5 challenge, I'm also keeping that in here as well. So this is the current month. So let's see how much we have here. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, and 90. So yeah, that was a little bit more than what we had listed in the front. So that's $90 for February as of today, which is the 24th. And then in this middle section is where I keep the January money. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And so that's January. So 40 plus 90 is 150. So I will be keeping, and so what I'll do once February is done, I probably will just take this and put this in the bank. And I actually don't have a specific goal for this $5 challenge, but as I have been looking at my bills, I'm thinking that with my $5 challenge, I will either put this towards my emergency fund or I might put this towards debt. But I have not figured that out yet. But that's where I'm going to keep this, and I do keep this in a safe place in the house. So this doesn't come with me, so I don't have to worry about carrying all this cash. And again, the reason for the paper here is I'm thinking I'm going to list my expenses here, but again, all of this is new, so I'm just trying to figure out what it is that I'm going to be doing. But again, I keep this in a place that is safe and secure in my home, and then that way I know I already have the cash out and it's not sitting in my bank where I can just utilize the money and then come up short for weeks in the future. So that's that little setup that I did. So back to February. And so for listing expenses, what I might do instead is keep little sheets like this in my mini, because this is a mini size, and then as I am purchasing things, writing it down there and then transferring it into here, just because I really need to figure out where my money is going. Because with the 5s, I mean, that tells me from the money I had from the last time that I got some 5s, but I couldn't tell you what I did with the rest of the money. So that's the thing. So we've got expenses, sinking funds, and savings. Going forward, I will keep the expenses as clean and simplified as possible. Sinking funds will have its own sheet, maybe with my cash envelopes, and then savings, I might just have, because in March, I haven't set up anything, and I'll do that next weekend. I do have 4 pages, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then this one actually would go for April. So when I'm mapping this out for next month, I will definitely keep that in mind so that I can be more cognizant of what needs to go where. So for instance, Denise from Denise Dives In, she keeps all of her weeks for her cash envelopes on one single page, and I'm probably going to do the same thing. I think Dee from Budgeting D does the same, where those things don't change, those categories don't change, so it's easy enough for her to just list it on one page. And then for her sinking funds, I'd have to go back and look at the videos. I think she does something similar as well, because again, you're just putting money in, but the categories itself don't typically change, although they can from month to month. Now, this next thing that I'm going to be talking about is frankly giving me a little bit of stress, but you know, whatever, it is what it is. So this is my debt snowball projection, and this is as of the 20th. And I think one of the reasons why I never really looked at my debt is because I knew that I had quite a bit of volume of it, and it just never seemed like I could get any headway with it, with what I know I have left over at the end of every month. So these are some of the credit cards that I pay. There are 7 more, and I didn't list them only because I just got tired of writing, and I actually list them out when I am actually doing my bill pay in my mini, and so this is pretty redundant for me. So there's no real reason for me to do this, but I did want to see, just sort of map things out. So these up here are actually all paid off, and it doesn't seem like that, but these are the 2, this one and this one, that I was able to pay off with part of my tax refund. And these I'd actually had paid off, but charges kept popping up because this one was tied to an iTunes account that I have. This one was tied to a Microsoft that I do for my computer, and then this one was charging me both the monthly fee, and then I had Pandora tied to this one. So these accounts I actually closed because regardless if you use the account or not, they would charge you $12. Now I don't want to close all of the accounts that I have because for credit score purposes, the debt income ratio, so the actual amount of debt you have to the amount of open debt you have, plays a factor in your credit score. Now, I'm not purchasing a house or a car or anything that would require a credit score, but my credit score isn't that great as it is. I don't need it to go any further down the rabbit hole. So those are the only 2 that I closed. These I do have open. And so when I'm doing this, and all of these, I've actually paid all of this. So when I go into March and do this, this should all be 0. So all of these are 0. And actually, I actually have 3 other ones that I've already paid off as well. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the 3. So as of right now, I do have 9 credit cards paid off, which is awesome, but they were small. So the ones that I have remaining are quite large. And again, it gives me a little bit of anxiety, but we're just going to do what we're going to do. So with a debt snowball, what that means is you take all of those payments that you were making before, and so this is all of the payments for these credit cards here, and then you roll that up into the next debt that you have. So these right here add up to $91.44, plus the minimum payment for this credit card is $25. So I should be able to pay, I think it comes out to, let me get a calculator. I'll be able to pay $116.44 towards this debt right here, and that's the starting balance. I want to say as of the 5th. So when I do this for March, when I'm paying all the bills on my March 5th paycheck, I'll actually update this number here. And with the paycheck that I got on the 20th, I'm actually able to throw another $100 to that. Now, I have a fixed income, so I get paid the exact same amount on the 5th and the exact same amount on the 20th, and those 2 aren't the same because on the 20th paycheck, I also have my bus pass fee taken out. So unless they raise the fee for the bus pass, those 2 checks will always be the exact same amount for the 5th and the 20th. I don't have the opportunity for overtime because I certainly would work it. I don't get bonuses. So I mean, basically the income that I have is only the income I'm ever going to have. So if my Etsy shops start doing well, then I might start factoring that in, but they are so inconsistent that I can't. I truly can't. And I'm not monetized with YouTube. My Amazon affiliates, I think I've made like $1. So, I mean, really, the only income that I truly can count on is my full-time job. And that's why it is a little bit stressful for me because this doesn't even include my student loan debt. So in credit card debt, as of right now, it comes out to a little less than $40,000. My minimum payments for all of my credit card debt comes out to $1,300, but again, that does not include my student loan payment. So I'm really just right at exactly how much I make on that paycheck with just like 20 bucks left over. So I am hopefully going to get this one done down within the next couple of months, and then I will be working on the next one. And basically that's what you do in a snowball. You take all of the payments that you would have made already, and you roll it into the next debt. So when I'm going forward, my credit card payment should always equal to this amount right here, even though I have lesser payments to make, and I hope that makes sense. Now, this one I would have to write every single month. So what I've done instead is, and I've put it in March because that's where I'll be updating it, is I've created this debt snowball worksheet, and this was inspired by fundingcloud9.com, where I am focusing on just these credit cards right now, and that's mostly because that's all that would fit. And on the 5th, I will put the minimum balances here. For that Walmart card, I still do need to throw that $100 on it, but I won't do that. I will do it before the 5th, but I won't include it with the 5th payment, because what I want to do is, as I'm doing my debt snowball, I will make the minimum payment on the 5th, and then the remaining debt snowball I'll probably pay a week later so that it hits principal and not pay any interest, if that makes sense. And so for March, and it's starting in March, I will start with the beginning balance. My minimum payment is $25. My snowball for that is $91. And then when I pay that, I will put a balance here, and then I'll just carry that down until it's paid off. And once it's paid off, I'll color this in, and then we'll go to the next paycheck. Again, this isn't where I'm tracking my bills. This is just where I'm tracking my debt snowball. So once I'm done with this, that $116 will roll into this payment right here, and we'll do the same, and then hopefully we'll show progress here on these credit cards. Again, I don't know how long this is going to take me, but I'm not going to stress about it. It's sort of like weight gain. It takes you quite a bit of time to get where you are, and it's going to take even longer to get where you want to be. So for this, it's going to be the same. I've racked up this debt, and so now I need to start paying it down. And in tandem with this, I am still working on savings. I don't have the $1,000 that Dave Ramsey suggests to have first. It's sort of things I'm working on at the same time, just because I don't know that I'm going to need an emergency fund. Fortunately, I have sick and vacation leave, so like this past week I was out for the majority of it, but I still will get paid because I do have that vacation and sick leave. But eventually that runs out, especially since I have been out of work for quite some time for 2019. So I do want to have money in that fund just in case something does come up. I don't have a car. I don't typically have to pay anything towards housing emergencies or whatever. That's taken care of already. So really it's just focusing on saving money so that I do have a bit of a backup, and then trying to get rid of this debt. And my student loans, I will pay the minimums, and I won't even think about those until I make more headway on my credit card debt, just because there's only a certain amount of money that I have, and it has to be prioritized this way. So for the beginning balance, that will be as of March 1st, and then the updated balance will be updated every single month, just so I have a better idea of where I am with my debt. Now, I know for me it comes into a feeling of shame to show that number, and as you notice, I didn't show my actual income. And for right now, this is still overwhelming enough for me that I'm hopefully you can garner something from this, but my actual income, I'm just not comfortable with showing, although the extreme amount of debt that I have, again, I want you to know where my challenges are in regards to why I'm doing this and why it's been so long since I have done this, or why I've never done this before, because I am 46, I will be 47 in July, and this is the very first time I'm actually trying to tackle this. So this is my budget check-in, as well as tax return, as well as sinking funds cash envelopes for the week of the 25th. I think it's the 25th. Yeah, tomorrow's the 25th. And I plan on doing one of these weekly recaps just because it'll help me figure out where it is that I'm spending my money, hopefully, if I'm keeping on top of it. And then also, if this $80 per week is too much, or if it's too little, or, you know, what I need to adjust, because, again, this is still all fairly new to me. If you do have any questions or comments, please definitely leave them below. And as always, aloha.